Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'm going to call our meeting to order and begin with a notice of our new employee. We have some new members tonight that originally came earlier and at the last meeting, but some of you weren't here. So I want to begin by introducing Jen Jobin, who is the library representative now, replacing Karen Freed, who is resigned for the second time. And then Terrell, whatever. Borowitz, thank you, Terrell. Yeah, Terrell is a member of the Nashua Regional Planning Commission, but he's a he lives in town. So he's going to be representing himself and representing the town as a townsperson on the board. And Matt, you weren't here for a couple of times, so I think neither of them have met you before.
Okay.
And we're glad to see you back. Wounded, but
I'm here.
you're
Yes.
here. Matt represents the school district here, and they appoint him, the school district, just like the library trustees. They're a little independent. And everyone else, Nick LaValle, and everyone knows Finlay, and Dawn Tuamala, who's been our eyes and ears on our latest project. And Karen Contos, would you be good enough to take the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So we'll begin with approval. Our first order of business is approving the minutes of March the 29th. And I sent those around so everybody would have a copy.
The hockey game last
If
night.
they don't have a copy, I think I have a copy I could loan you if you wanted to look at it. If you wanted to take a minute, and then we will have a vote to approve those minutes. Those were done by Dawn's secretary, and what did you need?
Rhonda. Your name's Rhonda.
Oh, Rhonda, yes, right. Thank you. Thank you for making those available to us. And where did you found pens over there? Is there a supply of them?
No, there was one on the seat.
Oh,
That's all.
okay.
I stopped in media to get mine because I didn't.
I usually forget them. Today I didn't. Forget to bring a pen.
I went back to get it and ended up doing something
Okay.
else.
So we're taking a minute to look over the minutes and see if we have any issues.
29th, right? Okay,
And,
good. Yes, so
and
do I.
otherwise, I'll await a motion to approve the minutes as they are.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Dawn.
Second.
Seconded by Finlay. Any discussion, or anybody want more time, or everybody's happy with that? Then we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes of March the 29th, 2024?
Right.
All in favor? Aye, aye. Any opposed or abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, yeah,
Me neither.
yeah. Jen wasn't here, and Karen was not here for that last meeting, but otherwise, the minutes are approved. Excellent. Next business on our agenda is old business. It begins with our favorite project, the Sahuagin River Trail. And Dawn, maybe you can bring us up to date on that as to how things are going. It looks good from the road, and
I'm laughing because it
looks
was a long conversation last night.
It
You
was
did-
painful. It was very painful.
well, fill me in. I didn't see last night's meeting.
So, as I had said before, every step of this project has had a redesign. Every step of this project has been a nightmare. And it's continued. So last night I had to go to town council for yet more money,
Oh,
which, one, bothers me because I like to have the project set and
yeah,
have my money set and hopefully come back with less. Well, I've had to go back, this is my third time back, and I can't do this again. So all these delays have, all the delays have
Oh.
obviously
Thanks,
pushed
Nick,
the
yeah.
timeline way out, and we're looking towards the end of August now
Yeah.
for completion, because in pushing out a project, one, the contractor couldn't work for a couple of months because he needed to have the redesigns done, and then that then pushes out the parts of the
Yeah.
project that need to be fabricated, and now we're looking at about 10 weeks of fabrication before we can get them in to install them. So they're probably gonna end up going away and then coming back again. They put the helica piles in this week. It only took them 2 days versus the 5. However, they get paid on the depth.
yeah.
The depth has far exceeded anything we calculated in the beginning, and even the recalculation. So they are very expensive at $185 per foot.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then they had to put in more of them on top
Yeah.
of that. So it's been interesting, let's put it that
Yeah.
way. So, anyway, that being said, the town council did approve the additional funds, but we are looking towards the end of August.
Okay, that is scary for a couple of reasons. First of all, we didn't even want the boardwalk. We wanted a path through there. And the state and the federal and whoever all else has their finger in the pie are the ones who came out with the boardwalk idea. And now it's a boardwalk, and now the boardwalk, I don't know why a 20-foot piling isn't enough. It has to go deeper. It doesn't,
Well, they only planned on 8 feet. So you do
Yeah.
the math, and then you multiply it,
yeah.
add an
yeah,
extra 10 to that. So they went
Yeah.
down 20 feet.
Yeah,
And a couple of them had to go a little bit deeper even. So, anyway, we're past that. Next week, the boardwalk itself, the concrete pieces are going in.
yeah.
Then we have to big wait, because we then have to wait for the railings, which have been re-engineered to be able to fit on these concrete boards that, anyway,
The boards are concrete?
they're concrete.
Oh, I thought
And
they
they're
were
very
boards.
fragile,
I thought-
and they're coming from Florida. We've had one delivery, so we can start next week, and we're hoping for the second delivery so that we can finish
Wow.
putting the boardwalk part, but we
Yeah.
can't open it because we need railings, because somebody's gonna fall off.
Oh, yes, that's for sure.
And that's the 10 weeks out we're looking at. So, and
Wow.
that's that side of the project. The other side has had its issues, and right now we're waiting for guardrail and a few other things over on the other side, and they found holes underneath the concrete that was there that we had to fill in with flowable fill, and then it goes on and on.
How did we get into this?
Well, I can't remember the exact number at the beginning of the project, but I want to say it was like $400,000 when we initially talked about it.
That's right, that's right,
And I
yeah.
remember thinking, wow, that's a lot of money. And now Don had told us last night that we're actually breaking $2 million.
We're
Yeah.
over 2 million just in
We're over
construction, just
2 million?
construction,
Wow.
just construction.
And now, and the dilemma is, as was pointed out last night by Don, that you can't back out now.
No.
No,
Because
you're,
because
we're
you have
in
to
it.
pay all the money back
Yeah.
for the grant, so. The way I, for myself, it is 20%, our cost is 20%.
Yeah,
And we've gotten some work done that we had to do regardless to the bridge,
Yeah.
the sidewalks
yeah,
and any reinforcements
And
that we
bridge
found were
reinforcement,
necessary.
yeah.
So our 20% is covering, is the work that we had to do most of that's all being covered by our 20%, so we've spent a little bit more for the
Yeah.
balance of the project.
Yeah.
but- So that's how I rationalized and justified in my own
Oh, I
mind.
wish I had watched the meeting. I was sure the town council went berserk. Did they not? Weren't there
It
people?
was a 7-0 vote, Nelson, but I think we all realized that you had to do it.
We're trapped.
Yes.
We're this
Yeah.
far into it.
Just
Yeah.
remember I inherited this. I didn't start this. But I can't say that. We're doing the best we can.
It will be a
with
nice project when it's complete.
It will be, yes,
Yeah,
and
it
the
looks
parts that they
pretty
have
sharp.
completed are very nice.
Yeah.
In fact, we were taking our operations manager out today so that she can get a feel for what's going to be needed for maintenance, because she's gonna have to be the one
Oh, yeah.
that takes care of it, and she needs to know what she needs to do, so.
That's
Who is
interesting.
this person? I don't.
Lori, Lori, you know Lori,
Lori, I know.
Highway,
His
Operations.
Lori.
No,
Yeah, no, not by
highway.
Lori. Lori, at
Halverson.
operations, she
Okay,
runs.
that explains some things. I was getting these strange messages referring to Lori, and I thought they were talking to your wife about your wife, and it didn't fit. You know?
Got a new career now, right?
Now, but you bring the maintenance up, regular maintenance is minimal, I suspect, but
I would
that's
hope.
not something that we would maintain in the wintertime, is it? Because we don't maintain trails in general, so I don't know why we
Yeah,
would
no,
maintain that.
we can't get equipment.
Yeah,
in
no,
there.
okay,
We
good.
don't,
To get
we
there.
don't maintain the trails in general in
No,
the
precisely,
winter.
that's why I didn't
Yeah.
know what we were talking about.
Doesn't mean they won't be used.
Sure,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, depending on snow and ice and so on and so
One,
forth.
one thing we have been batting back and forth, is to, since this is a trail, we're gonna post signs for no bikes because of the height of the head gate. It just meets state ADA requirements. But if somebody had a bigger bike, it was standing up, you know, we're concerned about that. So we're trying to work on what we're gonna put over the head gate to be able to notify and then put a sign, you know, walk your bike or
mhm,
whatever it takes a little bit further up, so.
Yep.
We haven't got to that point yet, and that will be on us because it's not.
duck, D-U-C-K.
Yeah,
Ju-
yeah, I can put some ducks along the top of it. We've got-
Just a heads up, I think you'll get some pushback on that. There are people who are planning on biking through there.
Oh, I'm not sure that they're legally allowed to.
Okay, well,
When you look at the definition of what they have as
oh
the
really?
trail,
People have already used it for biking. In fact, we have a person who lives on the other side who used to be on this committee, who used to bike over, back when the bridge was still working. They came across the footbridge
Mm.
and back over, but then they came up behind the fire station. We couldn't go through there, you know. Well, Dawn, thank you for the information. How about questions for Dawn? Anybody wanna know more about this? Nobody wants to be involved anymore. I don't think we ever would have gotten it approved.
Well, I was thinking that last night, Nelson, because I remember about $400,000 was the original
That was
numbers.
the original
And I'm
number,
thinking,
yeah,
that's gonna be hard to get support for that.
yeah.
But now we've trapped ourselves since, and unfortunately, I mean, because of how the grant was obtained, everybody getting involved, every bureaucracy having their 2 cents has caused the prices to skyrocket.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's
and so-
true, yeah.
But anyhow,
so one thing with the next TAP grant, which will be the sidewalk on Daniel Webster, is we don't have all the wetlands and we don't have all of those issues, so we don't have to go before a lot of those different, DES committees and boards.
Right now, that's true. Until
Oh,
they start,
don't.
until they start digging. Once you dig a hole, you can discover a bigger hole underneath it. Okay. Well, any questions for Dawn while we're on the subject? It's good to know, and you told me one thing. Originally, it was going to be completed in June, and now you're saying August, and that's okay, because given all that's there. I was thinking about planning for a ribbon cutting of some kind. And if it was in June, we could have a part of our 4th of July activities. But that doesn't sound like it'll work, so we'll abandon that. We'll maybe Labor Day.
I mean, somebody had handwritten it on, I don't know if they're all copied on, yeah. Labor Day, I thought that was a good suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. Where did, I hand wrote that on, yeah. Okay, I forgot to send out a new agenda to everybody. So these pink ones were provided by Nicholas, by Grace. And that's the only paper they have is pink. So that's why you got a pink agenda. All right, the next thing on our old business then is the status of Church Street. And your presentation to town council, I think you were about to go to the town council at our last meeting in March. And so, how did that go? And I hope it went better than, yeah.
So they want to see some different concepts, which is going to require that we get the survey done.
Oh, yeah.
DOT will not pay for that survey,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to have to do the survey for that area ourselves. I haven't got a figure yet. I'm still trying to negotiate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get the answers to the questions, I can't do much. Our GIS is not,
Yeah.
doesn't show enough to
Sophisticated
be
enough,
able
Yeah.
to answer the questions that you want.
Well, back in the day when we were still trying to figure a way around the Sauhegan River Trail, Steve Keach of Keach Nordstrom offered to do a survey for us, and he did a survey. He had sent his crew in and surveyed part of the upstream from the bridge up and surveyed the existing conditions.
Well, that's not this project. This project is Church Street.
Oh, I
going
understand
up.
that. I'm just mentioning that we have a citizen in town who has helped us a lot in the past, who might be worth a conversation. I realize it's not the same place, but it would be in his bailiwick, depending on his crew and so on and so forth. Perhaps it's a source of some low-cost surveying.
I've done all the research in order to help minimize the costs. I'm doing what I can in-house
Yeah.
to help be able to minimize the cost of this, so.
Okay, well, here's another possible avenue you might consider.
Okay.
Questions by the board on, by the committee on the Church Street?
I have a question.
Yeah,
When you say different concepts, what exactly do you mean? Different ways of handling it, or?
So when you close the road, you need to be able to have the people that are up on the top of Church Street turn around in some fashion. And you can't just go in somebody's driveway and back onto the street and then go. So you have to have allocated easements or land area where we can actually turn around. And concepts would be, we can do this, or we could do that, or we're actually looking at a third option, which sounds fairly feasible, so we'll have to see what comes out of this. But again, we need to see the grades, we need to understand, do we need to build retaining walls? What is it that we need to do in order to be able to make that turnaround up there viable? Did I
That's
shut
right.
you off? I'm sorry.
There's, oh, no, you didn't, no, not at all. There's a lot happening up in that area, which is why we're looking into, how we can accommodate these things. You got, the library exits through there, the senior center's there, the church is up behind that, and all those traffic flows and have to be accounted for, and the
And-
neighbors.
And the restaurant, don't
And
forget
and
the
there's a
restaurant.
restaurant, whose parking and access is from up there, not down
Yeah,
on Route 3. So there's a lot of stuff happening.
yeah. So what's the plan, Dawn? You're,
I'm working on it.
you-
I'm working on it.
I believe that. I believe that.
We'll get there. Have a lot on my plate. This is springtime, remember? It's
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
lot going on.
Well, if there's anything this committee can do, let us know. We're not good at surveying. Any questions or comments for Dawn on that particular topic? Now, then, the next issue was Bill Wilkes's favorite issue, was the priority list, and we talked about the missing link in on our priority list of sidewalk that was to connect the the end of the trail in Twin Bridge Park to the new housing development that's going on Twin Bridge Road. And they're going to be building sidewalk there, and Bill had suggested that maybe we could get a better price or a better arrangement by working with the contractor who is building the sidewalk for the housing development that's going on there. And so I was asked to speak to Paul McHaley, which I did, and Paul advised me that he was talking to Dawn about that. And so Dawn, the lady with everything on her plate, has a cherry to put on top of it. Any comments, Dawn, or did you recall this conversation? Yeah.
So yes, I was ordered to do that work.
This is the Dawn Show today.
I don't think I have enough copies, but I'll
If you
pass
have
what
one.
I can.
If you have one for me,
I just made a bunch. I don't know how many.
okay.
So, we were asked, or I was asked, to get a proposal from the company that's actually doing the site work out there, which we went and got. It came hot off the press this morning. So what we're looking at for this 195 feet of sidewalk is $56,000 if we do it while they're doing the sidewalk that they're working on. I will tell you, we are in a default budget, Nelson. Are going to be. We had to give up a whole lot of money last night. I don't have extra dollars. I got paving even cut, because I offered the paving.
Yeah.
I don't have a sidewalk program, which is what I really wanted to start, because our sidewalks are falling apart, and we need to have a program to be able to fix them. I don't
agree.
have the money. Unfortunately, I don't have this money.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you beyond that. I mean, it was a really hard night. I spent 2 weeks with all of my divisions to come up with cuts. I offered to Paul a week or two ago almost $650,000 out of my budgets. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I just don't have it. I'm gonna have to tail back our paving, which is going to impact me for years.
Yeah.
There is no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the amount, in what I had offered Paul was 250, he put 150 instead. So he gave me back 100,000. But
This is
That-
out of the other cuts.
this
they've
is in
already made.
next year's budget, so I
Yeah.
have this year's money. And then what I always do is I split the monies half and half, so I use half of the money for this year and then half of the money for next year. I already have this year's paving in process, so I can't back out easily from what I've already committed to,
Yeah.
which means I'm going to use more than my half that I usually have set aside for springtime paving, so I get first on their list.
Yeah.
Because I want to get them in, I want to get them out. I don't want to be paving in November. That is a wrong time of year to be paving. And we try to do it in the summer months, but the smaller subdivisions, we do it this time of year. That way, I know the job, they're not stressed out at the end, and we're getting a good product, and on and on.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of reasons is why I've always done it and split it. But next year, I'm not gonna have the monies, or at least I won't be able to do the projects that I need to do the way I feel that the roads need to have it done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, anyway, I don't know where this $56,000 is coming from unless you have it in your back pocket somewhere, because it's not in mine.
I don't feel any back there. Well, this is a better price than we had been carrying. We had been carrying 100,000 to do this job, and getting it done for this price, Bill was right. This is the way to do it if we're gonna do it. But I think this decision eventually has to go above this committee. I'm not sure this committee can make any decision on this, but Finley, I'm gonna ask your advice here. What do you think?
Well, I did voice a bit of a concern over the 150,000 that was taken from paving. I didn't know she'd offered up a 250 at first, but
Yeah.
that's, somebody used the term low-hanging fruit. That's what I see our asphalt paving budget as, low-hanging fruit, because the impact today might, to the average person, might seem like not a big deal out of the budget we have for it. But in reality, it impacts the future, and so it starts to pile up, and that's been my concern. We have big projects, the conversation about that 48, the units, the workforce housing, we got $480,000 from the state, $10,000 a unit, craziest thing in the world. I was happy to take it, and so, but we have projects that are likely gonna be used for that. We have, we haven't had the discussion on it, but there's a tower that we've gotta build and things that will likely consume that. I don't know, it's a tighter time. I was thankful that the voters left our capital improvement
Yeah.
programs intact. They passed that, which was very nice of them, because that's a screaming big number when you're looking at it on the warrant, and but they supported that. But I think after that $2 a thousand impact we had in December, I think they wanted to slow down, and so it's only the second time that I remember a default happening. Yeah, when we introduced well, I didn't, but it was introduced pay-as-you-throw, and people were not pleased with that. You remember that?
Yeah, yes.
We couldn't even get wastewater programs, that the payments for the, I think it was a bond we were running, it failed, and those fees were already being charged in the sewer fee structure. But, so it had no impact on the tax rate, and the people paying the fees, it's already included in there, but the bond failed. And I can't even remember what it was for, but, so this time, I think they hit the pause button, and so I have no real ideas at this point, where I can convince 3 other people that it's a great idea.
Yes, yeah. Well, what does the committee think of this, and how should we proceed? I guess I'll turn it back to the committee. We could make an appeal to the council, but I think you can see the handwriting here with what Dawn has told us. She's already cut out of the budget, right?
Right. I mean, it's always on my mind because of the conversations we have here.
Yeah.
So as the year progresses, the next budget cycle progresses, we'll be paying attention. I know Dawn is always looking for things and thinking about, how we can get things like this done.
The thing about this is the timing on it.
Right.
It needs to be done, soon.
Right.
Or it needs to be funded soon so that they can go ahead with the design of it and that sort of thing. And,
Right.
And it's a much smaller number than we had originally estimated. We had talked about 100,000 to do this link, and that
Yeah.
was an estimate that,
So that brings up another point. This is just construction. I haven't designed anything. How are they gonna build it?
okay, so.
Where's
so
that
it's-
money gonna
it's
come
more
from?
It's more than this, and how much is that? We need to know the total price of things, yeah.
You would normally design that? You would be designing this sidewalk? Yeah.
Yeah. We did look at a very nice unit today, this morning, to test out for our new survey equipment that we're thinking about.
Up from
And
that.
it's a very nice unit. It was impressive. We can have one person go out instead of always having 2 or 3 people to go out to do the survey. We can ourselves go out and be able to do small projects such as this. I don't own it. I can't, there's nothing I can do right now, but that would be something in the future I could do. But we can certainly design it in-house. I mean, that small an area. We did the roundabouts,
And
well,
you did
actually.
I always call it Greek Hill, and I'm told I can't do that.
Woodbury.
Woodbury.
But we designed that as well, and that was
Yes.
pretty extensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we did it all in-house. We did, actually, we had some of it surveyed. I believe Steve Keach's company did the base survey for us. And then we took it from there, that base survey, and we were able to work it from there. Because we don't have the survey crew. We don't have that ability
Mhm.
right now. Our equipment that we have is old, and it no longer talks to our computer, which is our problem.
Yeah.
And we can't upgrade it to a point. It's not worth upgrading at this point, to be able to get the work that we need out of it. So there's 2 units we're looking at, and we're trying to get 3 different prices for both of the units. And we'll pick out which one's gonna suit our needs. And then
This
go
is
with that.
equipment you would buy, Dawn, for the department, or?
Yes, and we
Yeah.
actually have a $30,000
We-
grant
yeah.
we're trying to apply for,
Yeah,
to be able to buy some of this equipment.
yeah.
And it will
Interesting.
talk right with our GIS program, so that we can, whatever we pick up for infrastructure will go right into, and this is
Yeah.
what the grant is for, infrastructure improvements. And we'll be able to put in our catch
Yeah.
basins and our manholes and our roads and our, whatever it is we want, to be able to improve upon our GIS system.
Yeah,
So, but it's a different story, different day, because I don't have it, and we're still
We
working.
haven't got the grant yet.
I haven't got the
Yeah.
grant, and,
does
So-
NRPC have anything that they could contribute in this area, or do you know, Tara?
No, we don't have any survey equipment. We
You
don't do
don't?
surveys.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of beyond our scope and what
Yeah.
our, we're, in
Yeah.
the business
it's
of
very
doing.
specialized, It's not
Well, if
your
it,
run-of-the-mill
if
every
it
day.
does, if it does surveying, that's a,
It was kind of
Gene-
interesting, because you sit there and you walk around with the pole, and the whole unit just follows you. It
whoa,
goes right around in a circle and follows you.
yeah? You're getting
Yes.
elevations that way.
Well, you get elevations, you get everything, and the accuracy is much better than what it used to be. I
Yeah.
wished I had them when I was out in the field doing it. It was like, oh, this is sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Karen, yeah,
Oh, I just had a question. The Woodbury sidewalk didn't have the granite curbing, right? Because this does show granite curbing.
We started with granite curbing, and we had a budget. And as we got our final design done, then we had to start substituting. So we went with a different asphalt curbing, because it was cheaper to be able to put in. Asphalt curving, unfortunately, when you're plowing in the wintertime, gets it not so nice anymore.
Doesn't
It would be
respond
nice
well.
to have put in the granite, but we didn't have the funds, because that's a lot of man-hours to put that in.
what is planned for the the 360 sidewalk, I'll call it, for lack of a better
That
name.
has to be granite
It-
because
Because.
of our regulations. Our regulations state that on Daniel Webster Highway, it has to be granite.
Okay,
period,
When you
there's
say
no-
our regulations, you mean town?
Our town regulations require granite curb
Okay.
along Daniel Webster Highway.
But you could,
It will be in that grant, so it's going to be mandated in the grant.
in the grant.
And we
Yeah.
can't substitute.
Yeah. It's our
It's-
regulation,
It's
but we can't.
just, it's an added, well, we could as the town, but I'm not going to, because I would be setting a very bad example,
Well,
you know?
And it doesn't last
And
with
it doesn't
plows, 'cause
last.
I have asphalt curbing on my end of the street, and one area, most of it survived nicely, but in the curve, it's been
Yeah.
broken up.
yeah.
Well, the thing that we've seen, especially at the high school, and on McElwain, once a piece kind of breaks,
It just gets.
then it just kind of continues. I've been, going up Woodbury Street, quite a bit, and I have to tell you, it is held up fine. I don't see any fractures in it. I don't see anything in it. So, but it's just a matter of time. But I'm surprised that it has held.
Yep.
So it has to be some sort of different composite of asphalt, or
No, it was a different
different
design from what we normally do. So
Okay.
it's more vertical
yeah.
than what we normally would
Yeah,
put in.
'cause that sloped stuff has a tendency to
Yes.
catch a blade and then, boom, it's all over the
There
place.
there are some marks along it, but you're right,
Yeah.
it has held up fairly
Yeah.
well. I've been holding my breath like I always do when I drive up the street. Is
It's
the
like the
drainage
sa-
working, is the curbing working, is the road working?
Right.
It's like-
It's like the sidewalk on McElwain Street. I don't know if you're at all concerned with that, because there's probably only an inch difference between McElwain Street and then the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So it's almost become to a point where, when is a sidewalk not a sidewalk?
Right, and that's why I would like to, at some point,
I know what you were saying, I
set up
heard
a
you.
sidewalk program to be able to coincide with our paving of certain streets. We need to improve the sidewalks along said
I
streets.
agree with you.
I don't have the funds right now, so I've got to be able to figure all of this out
Yeah.
and put it forward. But this year was not the year to do that, and probably next year won't be either. But,
Correct.
I'm gonna have to take maybe a part of the paving and carve it out. I don't know, but I do know, and I've been listening to the people, and they're complaining about the sidewalks, and they do need repair. So I've gotta set something up, but
Right.
it's more money, more time, the sidewalks aren't always so easy. But I'd like to do it in conjunction when we're doing paving, so that we can have.
Well, that's exactly what we're gonna do. When we finally get around to doing repaving O'Gara Drive, which I don't know if you've been by, your people have been awesome with helping us out with potholes, by the way. Tom Tussaud calls up, and, you guys have been gracious enough to help us out with that. But that road is probably 10 years overdue to be totally ground down, resurfaced and everything like that. And at that point in time, that's when, I'm jumping ahead, so let me just
Go
stop right
ahead.
there.
Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead,
It's
you go
all
ahead.
pertinent.
No,
Oh.
I agree.
That's the time to do the sidewalks when we do O'Gara,
Yeah.
so.
I just lost
The
my whole train of
problem
thought.
is, it's a lot of money. And we're in a default budget also. We had to cut $1.9 million from our operating budget to get down to default. The central office warrant article, which I think brought out a lot of no votes, that's just my opinion, kind of cascaded down through everything else. At least we had a couple of very important articles pass, but the budget did fail. And so this is something we're gonna look at into the future, and definitely in 24, 25, we don't have the money for that. So it's gonna have to be an appropriation for 25, 26, if there's money available to do that, given what we may or may not hear from the School District Planning and Building Committee or the school board regarding the status of, do we bring the central office back for another vote? And if we do, are we going to adjust it accordingly to bring it down to a lower price point? Which we may, but I don't want to talk for the board or anything like that.
Yes.
This is just me. This is just our fireside chat here.
Right.
Right. Nobody's watching on
Nobody's-
TV right now.
This is televised.
I know it is, Nelson. I'm just joking around.
Okay. Okay.
I guess we realize a lot of the issues, but we, you know, we're gonna have to address them as we
Absolutely.
can. You know, we're
I
doing
know.
what we can, but our year schedule for paving roads, I mean, we
I
have
know.
subdivision roads that are 35, 40 years old, and they haven't been touched. And that's why we need more funding for paving, because I can't even get to them. And I'm trying to keep our, what they call the good roads good. So I'm trying to do preventive maintenance on the roads that we've paved recently, so that the water doesn't get in and kill our roads, which is what kills our roads. But I also can't go out and rebuild some of these roads, you know, that really should be. So I'm trying to get to them, through them, as we can.
Town of Bedford years ago got themselves in a real pickle with roads. And what they did is they took out a road bond. I
No.
think it was
30
like,
million.
huh?
I think it was 30 million bucks.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, no,
We don't want to go that route.
no, absolutely not.
When the
Yeah.
bond ran out, you had to start surfacing again.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was- It's not the good way to
It's
do
not the
it.
good way to do it.
Yeah.
And quite often, you're behind on, the bond is still going on. A road is typically only good for 12 to 15 years. I mean, we've stretched our roads at this point.
Well, Garrett Drive's probably 35 years old since we
And,
touched it.
and I can't get to it,
Right.
you know? I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I've got the same pain,
I know.
except mine at plus 186 miles.
That's true.
So, you know, and we'll do the math out.
Yeah.
What we're getting now, we've already proven time and time again, is not enough money to be able to even play catch-up. You know, so I'm trying to stretch.
I know. It's a hard situation to be in. And, you know, I admire your consistency in trying to get this town and this community to where it needs to be, so.
Well, there's different paving options, so that's what we're trying to do right now with our collector roads, our bigger roads.
Yeah.
Put some serious money into those to maintain them longer, so that we don't have to keep going back every 15 years.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we were way off topic, sorry.
Yeah, we're getting off topic, and I'll bring us back and say, is anybody over here, the quiet side of the room?
Yeah, actually, I was
like to
wondering.
pitch in on any of this,
Yeah,
thinking?
yeah. So when you guys were talking about this section on Twin Bridge that you want to put the sidewalk in, did you talk about like, you know, other building out, strategies, like maybe just, I don't know, is there something you could do just like with putting on a line on the side of, to kind of accentuate like a little shoulder area for people
Paint a
walking.
sidewalk on the asphalt.
Yeah,
That's-
I don't know,
that's-
but
well,
like
that's
there's
um,
like,
Yeah.
super
They-
cheap
they-
options
They did
like
quite
that.
a job with making the temporary sidewalk down here out where the bridge, the Chamberlain Bridge is.
Do you wanna know the cost on that one?
Well,
Had to
the
put 25.
traffic volume on Twin Bridge Road has got to be
Way
minimal,
less.
right?
Yes, way less than that. for
yes,
sure.
yeah. So there's got to be a safe way for people to walk down that street with just a little bit of notice being given that
Yeah.
people might be walking down the street.
Well, that's a thought, and a thought to save. I think we'll have to let them go unless we want to go back to the council and tell them our story and why we think it'd be a good time to do this, because the price is so low. But I don't know, I wouldn't expect it to have many legs at the council from what Finley's saying.
That's just a gut feeling. No conversation ever had at this point
Yeah.
over this in the quote that we've been given.
Yeah.
See, the town's in a predicament because they can't overexpend their budget. That's law, right? We can't either.
Yeah,
But we have the ability to grab unassigned fund balance and put it away up to 5%. The town does not have that ability.
yeah.
So Paul couldn't go in and say, hey, I've got $2 million worth of unassigned fund balance. I'm gonna allocate 56,000 to this and get it done. Can't be done on a town side. He's gotta go to God in order to get, you
Yeah.
know,
Who is the voter?
permission.
The voter.
Well, no, not necessarily. If he needs to overexpend his budget,
Oh,
he needs to
overexpend.
go to Concord
Right.
to say, you know, and that's not gonna happen.
Right, and unreserved fund balance, we can say we want to put some aside for
Yes.
this, and then the voter has to agree.
The
to
voter
that.
has to agree.
Right,
On the school side, we can put aside a certain amount of unassigned fund balance, and then we can hold a public hearing,
and
and we can spend it.
Yeah,
But we're limited on the amount that we can drag over. The town can drag over much more than we can,
yeah.
so.
we can use it to offset the tax rate or
Yeah,
for things that we send to the voters
Yeah.
for their approval.
Having worked on a town side for a while, I know how the machinations work, so.
Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts on what we might do? Jen?
I'm assuming there's no grants available and the timeline's too short for applying for any grants for the sidewalk
Well,
project?
That's true. That's the true statement. It's the timeline that would be. And as Tyrell knows, we're starting the 10-year plan for the 36 years, something. So the deadline for that's in June, so I'm already trying to formulate, what am I gonna put in for the next go-around? Because I always put something. Last time I put in 3 and we got 2 out of the 3. So in the 10-year plan, yes, they're years out, but they're there.
They're there.
They're there. So I plan on doing the same thing. What I'm going to do, I don't know, and I really would like to get that interchange with exit 12 done, but that's out of my realm because that was one of my proposals the last time, and it's DOT property, so I can't bring forth a project on them. And I haven't figured out yet how to get them to say yes to that, because everybody I talk to is no.
Do what
What is
project?
the project on?
What
On
project?
exit 12, you know
Right.
how we only have the on.
Oh, you want to get the
Get
other
onto
side?
Bedford Road,
Oh,
and
you
have
go-
the other side, because that will alleviate a lot of the traffic that we've got on Daniel
It would
Webster.
be wonderful,
Yes, it would.
but they've said that the space is too tight. They'd have to
Yeah.
be taking properties.
You can make it work.
You can make
It
anything
looks
work.
good enough for me, cause I'm for that, believe me, yeah.
I am too, because I live right off exit 12, so
I live right close
from
to
the
it.
beginning, I thought it was a good idea, but that's what, on Back River Road side, they'd have to be taking properties,
I thought it was the other
and
side.
on the east side,
East side.
Priscilla or whatever. So anyhow, but we couldn't get them to change the northbound exit ramp and the southbound where they merge. It's a very dangerous intersection, and they wouldn't, just change the yield sign. I mean, right now, you're supposed to just both sides yield, but nobody knows, if you're heading to go south on Route 3, you are at your own mercy. And I learned the hard way when they first opened that road, because they had a van with no side windows. And I get up there not anticipating the difficulty and couldn't see anything. My mirror was just, so I just swung it and threw out the Hail Mary and went. So, but, so they don't like doing much. We even tried to get them on Hilton Drive to just put up a sign saying, please don't block the road. And they wouldn't do any of that, refused to. I think they talked to this
So,
This is the highway department, the turnpike.
state, yes.
It's the turnpike.
so what I
Yeah.
am going to bring forth, I know, is one of the projects, is one of the things we outlined in our discussions here as a priority is from Babusick Lake Road Bridge down to the library on the north side of Babusick Lake. That was our number 1 priority.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
that
a
I am
big
going
need,
to do.
yeah.
What else I do not know, but that
Yeah.
is something I've already
Yeah.
started to put together to be able to put forth
Yeah.
for this. So I'm still working on it. It's just, this Twin Bridge was item number 4 out of 4.
Yeah,
This one was item number 1. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go for item number 1.
yeah.
Be able to get
Yeah,
that connection.
The reason this got moved up was because of the availability of the construction that was already going on there, and the additional housing that was going in, and that's why I think this committee voted to ask for this right now, and that's what brought it up. It brought it up in priorities, even though the other is a higher priority. True, the other is a higher priority, has more visibility, and,
Of course, that sidewalk will be 3037 by the time, 2037 by the time we get to it.
3037.
2037, sorry.
Yeah,
I
Freudian
always do
slip,
that.
huh?
Yes. I do that constantly with those. I'm not used to the 30s yet.
don't give up on the 20s. Anybody have any further thoughts on this subject, or anything we as a committee want to do? We want to go to the council? I'll leave that up to the committee.
I think like Dawn said, is we really need it for we need money for the paving. It's just a higher priority. She's already
yeah.
lost a lot of her budget.
Yes, yes.
I'll chat with Paul McCallie, just to get a sense of what he thinks.
Yeah, be good to get his thoughts on it, yeah.
because I have a gut feeling, but I don't want that to run the decision-making. I'd rather
Okay,
hear it
yeah,
straight up. And
Yeah. Okay, if you'd like any assistance with that, I think I'd be willing to pitch in, but I don't have a lot of hope.
I'll chat with him. If I have time this afternoon, I'm gonna zip over there.
Okay.
I don't know what he's got going. but-
Good, yeah.
Oh, is he in Concord today? Yeah, okay.
Okay, I think you've talked, well, the next item on our agenda here today is the school master plan.
If I could just we're on probably our 4th iteration of this.
I think that's good comment.
Probably, yeah, correct. Initially, we had Steve Keach come here, show a different traffic pattern. We're talking about the high school, Mastercola Elementary School, Mastercola Upper Elementary School, all packed into this sort of Mastercola complex high school campus thing. We had Steve come, do kind of a modified traffic pattern, add some parking where the Brentwood building used to be, come up with a plan to suppress the overhead utilities, to get rid of all the wires and cables and everything that's all over the place, add some lighting. In the end, just the site work alone with the lighting and the suppression and the sidewalk going down O'Gara and repaving O'Gara, we got a budget number from CSSI from Mike Alvatsis of around $2.8 million. That was kind of the end of that one. So then we went forward with another plan with VHB, looking at not suppressing any utilities, putting some parking lots in, and then creating kind of a parent pickup and drop-off area. So we have that. Then comes along the central office piece that was brought forward this year. That changed everything, because now instead of using the site of Brentwood for parking and parent pickup and drop-off, there's supposed to be an office building there. That was proposed in front of the voters, that got turned down. Last time it was in front of the voters, I believe it was 2013, and it got voted down at that point in time. And so to revisit this, we need to have a conversation with the board and the school district planning and building committee, of which Finley is a member of that. And I think the tone and tenor of the board is to bring back a central office again, perhaps. I don't want to commit to anything. Maybe with a different configuration. So once we get that, then we could either ask Steve or VHB, or maybe Dawn would she's looking at me. She's not giving me a good look, right?
She heard her.
Could help it. No, I'm only kidding. You're busy enough. So we'd have to redesign that to incorporate whatever type of building is going to be there.
Yeah.
But we have the base of what we would like to see, but we just need to put in some of the details to finish it off. In every single plan we have done over the past 3 years, it has included the repaving of O'Gara Drive
Yeah.
and a sidewalk along O'Gara Drive. Now, we've had several other iterations where we move parking back into the woods a little bit, create a lower section so we don't need a guardrail anymore. That's not gonna happen. That's way too much money. So we're gonna leave the guardrails alone, recreate the sidewalks where they are, repave O'Gara Drive, and then try and bring it down to Babusick Lake Road. Now, I'm not sure about if that turn, if you're coming from the middle school and you're going down Babusick Lake Road, there was talk about a turn lane being
Right
put in
turn
there,
lane,
a right
yes.
turn lane. I don't know if that's still in the works or anything, or is it not? I don't, if it's the state, I used to work at Town of Hooksett. They were supposed to put a bypass on Route 28. It was on the 20-year plan. It's been 40 years. They still haven't done it, right? So,
I don't want to answer that.
okay,
Because
good.
I would like to look at the plans better before I answer that
Okay.
question. Because I don't want to put misinformation out.
I agree.
Because when they had the public hearing, I did bring that up, because they're talking sidewalks on both sides, and I didn't, I just brought it up, I don't know if they ever even thought about it after leaving that public hearing.
Are we talking about the same place? You were talking about O'Gara Drive, adding another lane on the right-hand side that would
Turn lane,
Turn lane.
turn lane,
a
in,
turn
lane, in.
turn to the right. Coming out O'Gara Drive.
No.
No, okay, where are you talking?
Going down
Going
Babusick.
into,
Going into O'Gara
Into.
Drive.
Oh, okay.
You're at the middle school. You're
Yeah.
going towards,
All right.
The
So
high
you gotta
school.
widen Babusick Lake Road, okay?
and do a right-hand turn lane there.
I think it was there.
Yeah, because I brought that up as a point because they had their public hearing showing
Yeah.
Wire Road and Babusick Lake Road. And their project was gonna be impacting that area, so
Yeah.
I just said if it's
Let's-
something
let's
that
do
would
it.
fit in.
Yeah.
Think it's, I don't want to say.
Don't say it.
I
Don't say
don't
it.
know.
Don't say it.
I don't,
We'll wait for next month.
Yeah. I mean, we have time. And
Okay.
so what we'll do is
Yeah.
we'll work with what we have right now, come up with, the bones of everything is designed, right? But there's a few certain things we need to know before we continue on with this.
so I
So-
believe it's going out,
Okay.
that project of the bridges is going out this fall.
Yeah,
Their timelines keep changing. I can't keep up
Right.
with it. But the last I knew it was going out this fall for construction next year. So it is coming up, and their plans should be pretty close to being done. I don't know if you've noticed, but they were doing borings in the street to be able to
Yes,
determine what kind
yes.
of materials they have, what they're dealing with. I do know that the temporary bridge is gonna be 2 lanes. It was on the north side. They've now moved it to the south side.
okay,
So the bridge, you're gonna come down this way, you're gonna turn to the right a little bit, go over a temporary bridge. So that's gotta be impacting that property. And maybe they do have something,
yeah,
since they're gonna impact it anyway. I don't know.
yeah. Seeing there's no money in the 24-25 budget, we'd be talking about, we're probably gonna start working on the 25-26 budget probably pretty soon, as you guys
Yeah.
are, you know. It's like the budget that never ends. You finish one, you close out the year, then you start working on the next year's budget. So it may be in there, but there's another competing interest also, so it's tough to say.
But you have to start at the now default budget and start working your way back
Correct.
up again. It's gonna
Exactly.
take a couple of years before
Couple of
we
years, right,
you know, I had already decreased some of the budgets. I had already done a zero-based budget for next year, and then I was asked to cut even more, and I'm like, this is hurting.
Well, the original budget that we presented to the school board before we went into the vote, we took $1 million out of that. So that was presented to the voters. And then the default budget was 1.9 million less. So it's really a $3 million swing that happened from what was proposed from administration to what was actually voted on by the public.
Okay, I think I'd like to move on.
Budget's
I'd like to move on too, yeah.
Does anybody have any quick questions for Matt before we turn to we'll give Nicholas a chance to tell us. First of all, I should congratulate Nicholas. It was announced last night at the at the council meeting that he has won a national award for his presentations on his coverage of the election, I think was what the award was for.
Exactly. Yeah, so we won an award from the Alliance for Community Media.
Yeah.
The category was Democracy in Action, and it was specifically for our Merrimack Election Night Live coverage from 2023. So our town and school
and this
election.
was a national award,
Yeah.
so it's pretty
And
good.
we won 2 others too, so we have 3. We'll have 3 this year.
Yes.
We're all represented. Myself, Justin, Grace, for
Great.
the election night, Grace LeMay won an award for our educational activities program that she produced about the high school's robotics team, Chop Shop.
Yep.
And then our former media assistant who left us for CBS, he won for a Merrimack moment as well about the Stowell Road Bridge,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
yeah.
pretty awesome because it includes 2 employees from DPW who have served the town since the late 1800s.
Yeah.
Right? That's how long they've been there.
Not my people, but the bridge.
Right.
Yes.
Well, the 2 Bobs, I think, have been here just as long, too. So, but Bob Lovering and Bob, why am I forgetting his name? There's the 2 Bobs.
Galimo.
Nope.
Yes, Bob Galimo.
No.
Was it? No.
Okay.
I can look it up, but anyway, it's two,
Okay.
two Bobs. They produced that program they were a big part of that program, so their names will be on that plaque as well. And there's an award ceremony at the national conference next month. Very exciting stuff.
Very good.
So,
So congratulations on that, and any new developments on our projects here? You still?
well, I
doing-
know for a fact that the Historical Society has been hard at work on their historical perspective of that Sauhegan Bridge and the trail there. John Listoka stopped by last week to kind of give us an update. So they're producing like a longer form documentary on that area. It's going to include
Yeah.
the bridge and everything. I plan on getting out and taking some photos and doing some videos throughout the summer. Now the project's extended, we'll say. And once we have a date for an opening, we'll obviously cover that. Myself and my staff of 2, I'm looking at our calendar. We're real busy the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think for the first time ever, I think I've said we need to start telling people no,
Yeah.
which I don't want to do. There's only so much we can do. In the next 3 weeks, we're booked out
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
I think Grace has 12 different projects in production right now,
Great.
which is excellent.
Yeah.
And we're trying to cover some spring sports and stuff. So as much as I'd like to put something else on the books for the town center committee, just adminning the Facebook page, I think putting some photos up and staying in touch with Dawn. Anything extra that needs to go up, we'll obviously post that. That doesn't take too much time, but
Yeah.
that's where we're at. We have a great following on our Facebook page. We have over 700 followers,
700 now. All right.
just over 700. Yep,
Yeah.
70% women. I think that's Nelson Disco's doing. So
I don't think
About
so.
the-
Well, he does have a presence about himself, I will say that.
But yeah, 70% women, 29% men, and largely from Merrimack. 600 out of the 700
Good.
plus are from Merrimack. And if there's ever anything you want to get up, I know Karen has sent me photos before when you were at the Wasserman Park event. But if there's anything that you'd like to see on there, Nelson, or any committee member, just let me know. We'll get it up there. I plan on posting a recap of today's meeting as I
Yeah.
did for our last meeting as
Good.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, Nick,
Okay.
your coverage of election night, I thought that was outstanding.
Yeah.
The narration, the camera transitions, it was like,
That's why they won a national
oh my
award.
gosh, it was amazing.
It's we put
You know,
it-
Nick's voice is like made for this, you know. I mean, he's so smooth and everything like that, and I just thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks. We put a lot. I mean,
It shows,
we put a
man.
lot of effort in everything that we do. Election night, you know, is one of those things. It's we want to get it right. We want to make sure everything's accurate, but we also recognize we have a captive audience. We have people, you know, they're not going to get their election coverage from of Merrimack's election
No.
from WMUR anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's really what community TV is about: is serving this town.
Yeah.
And we know we have a captive audience. We know there's, I think there was at least 100 people watching on streaming, so plenty more were watching on cable. You have that captive audience waiting for results, so that's there's a few hours there for us to film. We filled it with different pre-produced segments that showcase the work that we do, but also other people in town. We have segments from the concert that we shot, the spring concert. We have. We were showing our Merrimack Moments series, and then in between those 6 video packages that we had prepared, we were talking about other things that were going on in town and how people can become involved. And I think making use of that captive audience is super important. There's other communities that do it. They just stick a camera in the back of the room waiting for the moderator to call the results. What a waste.
Yeah.
You know, you have people waiting, watching, and we produce content year-round. It's like a moment for us to kind of show off a little bit, but also show the community. You know, people probably didn't see those Merrimack Moment segments until election night, but then they got to meet the kids from the comics club, and they got to meet what's going on in some of the classrooms, or our volunteer sports announcers, and
Who are wonderful.
and it's great.
Good.
So we're really
Okay.
proud of that. Thanks for mentioning it, Nelson.
Thanks, Nick, for doing it. It's a good feather in the town's cap, and you're right out there in front of it, so thank you for doing that. I want to move on, though, because we've got a couple more items to talk about. Is there anything new on the Wire Road, Babusick Brook bridges, Dawn, that we don't know about yet, or any?
The preliminary designs have been sent to NEPA, which is part of the DOT. It's on I hate to say this, it's on the state again at this point.
It's on what?
The state, so we're waiting.
Oh,
We
oh,
have to
okay.
wait until they
Yeah.
finish their review before we can move
This is
on.
of these are the design drawings now for construction, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're in preliminary, but yes.
Yeah,
So we haven't got the final yet.
yeah. Well, you got the details down and
Yes,
Yeah.
most.
most of them. Okay, thank you, Don. That's good. I didn't expect we had any real progress to talk about today. I told you about my discussions with Paul McKaylee and the connection between the two, the trailhead on Twin Bridge Park and the new construction, the new housing that's being constructed. I want to spend just a minute and talk about our next meeting and the upcoming 4th of July celebration. Historically, we have had a booth at the 4th of July pancake breakfast, Rotary pancake breakfast, and I think we want to do it again. It usually attracts a lot of people. We show off our maps of what we're doing. We have handouts that have been updated that show what we're doing. And so I would expect that the committee would like to continue to do that this year. And of course, we'll need some volunteers, but I'll be there. I've been there most of the years already. And I'll provide the maps and things. We may have another chance to talk about it depending on when we set our next meeting. And we should talk about that before we break up here. I don't like to go too much over our time limit, but we've got the month of June, well, actually half of May here, and and June to consider when and if we'd like to meet again before the 4th of July. And historically, we've been meeting on Friday at noon in this room, and everybody's pretty well trained to that. Any thoughts on the subject, when we'd like to have another get-together? We don't.
I just have a couple days that I couldn't make it, so as far as the meeting itself, it's whatever you think is best, or the committee thinks is best.
Well, let's say the 21st of June, just for a,
That's the only day I have available.
it's the only day you have available?
I
That,
answered it, sorry, everybody.
that pretty much sets when it is. 21 June will be our next meeting. And we can finalize our plans for the 4th of July at the same time. I don't know what's planned for the 4th of July this year. The council last evening started talking about a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States, which will be not this 4th of July, but the following 4th of July. So that's going to be a national event, and maybe we want to do something as part of that. I'm sure we could always do the pancake breakfast, but if there's anything else this committee would like to do to advertise what we're trying to do to the general public, and maybe we won't have people hatcheting our budget to pieces.
For that, we have plenty of time, I think, to put stuff together for 2 years out.
For the two, yeah.
But I think as far as this coming 4th of July, the pictures that Dawn had presented to us of the work being done down the hill on Chamberlain Bridge were pretty impressive. And if I don't know if it's too much of a nuisance, I'd give you a hand, but I've got 6 grandsons and a grandbaby, 10 and under. And so I bring them there, it's a circus. It's trying to volunteer time with you. I visited you last year. But I
Yes, you
didn't
did.
spend-
You
Didn't
did.
spend much time
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah,
difficult.
but there was one kid going this
Oh, it's
way
a-
and one
it's a-
going
it's a-
that way.
It's a circus. But if, I was thinking that if we could get some of those
Photos?
really cool shots, and just put it in a loop,
Mhm.
if it's easy enough to do.
We can do that.
Yeah.
To have
that
set
would-
up
That
there
would be
and-
good,
yeah.
yes. Well, okay, well, we'll coordinate with Dawn on that and the Rotary people who have been, the Rotary always likes having us there. And it's one more thing.
He knows that you bring more people out to their breakfast by having that presentation.
Right. Yes, okay.
I always like going, so I can do that again. On the 4th,
On which,
the July 4th.
oh, yeah, come and sit with me.
Yes.
Right, yeah, and hand out brochures and tell people how great this is gonna be, and to have the pictures, as you suggested, something that we have not done before. But,
Now we have some partially finished project going on, so, and it looks pretty awesome, quite honestly,
Yeah,
for all that.
okay, we'll try and get that set up, Dawn, and we'll get the Rotary to work on having the projector there. Is it-
We just do, you just wanted photos, right?
I was thinking, yeah, just a slideshow, or if you have a little video clip that can be inserted in a slideshow, whatever's, just something that you turn it on and that's it. Kind of envision a funeral home, but
Yeah, that,
I didn't want
well,
to,
that's what I was thinking of.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, so if we went there, Nelson.
See where we spend our time when we're not here.
Yeah.
It's happening a lot.
You want a slideshow versus photos on,
Well, I was thinking if we had a screen that you could do that, I mean, but whatever's easiest, I don't want it to be a nuisance, because I'm not gonna be able to spend a lot of time, so I don't wanna be volunteering everybody else
No,
for a
tell
project.
me what you want and we'll do something.
we wanted something that will stand alone, that doesn't require.
Yeah, they will loop, I mean, well, Don was just asking, do we want just photos up, or do you
Yeah.
want just the video, I saw on the screen, last night, some of the project. If we can put it in a loop, if it's simple enough
Can
to
always
do.
borrow maybe borrow a computer from IT. a tablet or a notebook or something.
IT is not paying attention to you there.
Well, I'm not IT.
He's
I,
not
I am
IT.
paying, but I am paying
He's not
attention.
IT. He
Yeah.
has
Oh, he's
nothing to
not
do
IT.
with-
No,
No, okay.
media.
Yeah.
But I think you could probably reach out to Jonathan and Leo, and they could.
He's,
Yeah.
they're my neighbors. I get it. I can get them.
That's right.
They can't get in their door without passing
Right.
mine.
Yes. So, just a thought.
Okay, I will keep that in mind, and,
It's just the screens aren't real big, but I don't know what we can, I'll ask them, and see what they can come up with. They always have good ideas.
okay. So we've set, I think we've come to the end of our agenda, and we've addressed all the things. We have room for public comment, which is missing. And, but people are interested. You can't judge it by who comes to this meeting. This is an oddball time to be having meetings anyway. So, and we can talk more at our June, 21 June meeting, yeah. So if it's okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Dawn and seconded by
I'll second that.
Karen. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? None. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your participation. And keep thinking about ways to find $100,000.